We've all heard the stories, right? Cases that seem ripped from the pages of a true crime novel, the ones that keep you up at night, wondering how something so horrific could happen and how it could possibly go unsolved. But what about the cases that are solved, yet still leave us with unanswered questions? The ones where the pieces finally seem to fit, but the picture they create is even more unsettling, more complex than we ever imagined. We're about to journey into the heart of 5 such cases, cases that chilled a nation to its core. We're going to unpack the evidence, the twists, and the turns, and try to understand what happened and why. Most importantly, we're going to confront the lingering questions that keep investigators and armchair detectives alike searching for answers. For years, California lived in fear. A shadow lurked in the night, a predator preying on unsuspecting victims. They called him the East Area Rapist, the original Night Stalker, the Golden State Killer. His crimes, a horrifying blend of sexual assault and murder, terrorized communities across the state. He was a ghost, a phantom, leaving a trail of fear and unanswered questions in his wake. Dozens of victims, lives shattered, families left grappling with the unimaginable. And then, just as suddenly as it began, the violence stopped. The case went cold, the files gathering dust, the questions multiplying with each passing year. Had he died, moved on, or was he out there somewhere, biding his time? Decades passed, and then a breakthrough. The world of criminal investigation was rapidly changing, and with it, the hope of finding the Golden State Killer. DNA technology, once a futuristic concept, was now a powerful tool in the hands of law enforcement. Investigators entered DNA evidence from the crime scenes into a public genealogy database. It was a long shot, a gamble, but one that paid off in a way no one could have anticipated. The database led them to distant relatives of the killer, and from there it was a matter of painstakingly piecing together family trees and narrowing down the suspects. Finally, in 2018, they had a name: Joseph James DeAngelo, a 72-year-old former police officer. The face behind the mask, the man who had haunted California for so long, had been found. Philadelphia, 1957. A time of innocence, some might say, a time when children played freely and the world felt safe. But that illusion was shattered one cold February day. A chilling discovery in the woods of Fox Chase would forever change the city and leave an unsolved mystery in its wake. A young boy, no more than 4 years old, was found discarded in a cardboard box, his small body bearing the marks of unimaginable cruelty. He had been beaten, starved, his hair crudely chopped, as if in an attempt to disguise him. Who was this child, and who could commit such a horrific act? The case, dubbed "The Boy in the Box," sent shockwaves through the community and beyond. The image of the young boy, his innocence stolen, his identity unknown, seared itself into the public consciousness. For decades, detectives pursued every lead, chasing down dead ends, their determination fueled by the heartbreaking mystery of the boy's identity. He was laid to rest in a pauper's grave, a small tombstone bearing the inscription, "America's Unknown Child." But even in death, the boy in the box refused to be forgotten. In 2019, a new chapter began in the case of the boy in the box. Advancements in DNA technology offered a glimmer of hope, a chance to finally give a name to the unknown child. Exhumed from his grave, his remains held the key to unlocking the secrets of his past. DNA analysis revealed that the boy's name was Joseph Augustus Zarelli. Finally, after 65 years, he had a name, an identity. But with this revelation came a wave of new questions. Who were his parents? Why was he abandoned? And who was responsible for his death? With Joseph's identity revealed, the investigation took a new turn. The focus shifted to tracing his family tree, hoping to uncover any information that could lead to his killer. Theories abound, whispers of a family secret, of someone out there who knew what happened to Joseph. Could it be that his parents were involved? Was he given up for adoption, only to fall victim to unspeakable abuse? Or was he the unfortunate casualty of a random act of violence, his short life extinguished by a stranger's hand? The case of Joseph Augustus Zarelli, the boy in the box, continues to captivate and confound. The community that embraced him in death, that tended to his grave for decades, still seeks justice for the little boy who never had a chance to live. While his name is finally known, the circumstances surrounding his tragic end remain shrouded in mystery. The boy in the box serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of life, the enduring power of hope, and the relentless pursuit of justice even after decades of silence. It's September 20th, 1988. Picture a day so ordinary, so unremarkable, it could belong to any one of us. Tara Calico, a young woman with a bright smile and a love for music, sets out on her usual bike ride in Valencia County, New Mexico. She's got her Walkman on, headphones in, probably lost in her own world, just like any of us might be. She tells her mother she'll be back for a tennis match later that afternoon, but Tara never makes it back home. It's as if she vanished into thin air, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions that have haunted this community for over 3 decades. The mystery of Tara's disappearance is a tangled web of dead ends, whispers, and tantalizing clues. It's a case that feels both frustratingly familiar and utterly unique. Over the years, the investigation into Tara's disappearance has taken countless twists and turns. Theories have come and gone, suspects have been investigated and cleared. Yet the central question remains. What happened to Tara Calico? Did someone abduct her in broad daylight on that quiet stretch of road? Did something happen that made her run away, abandoning her life and her loved ones? These are the questions that have kept investigators and amateur sleuths alike up at night, piecing together fragments of information, hoping to find the missing piece that will finally crack the case wide open. In any case like this, a case that captures the public's imagination and refuses to let go, rumors are bound to swirl. And Tara's case is no exception. Some whispered about a stalker, a shadowy figure lurking in the background of Tara's life. Others pointed to a group of local boys, troublemakers, with a penchant for fast cars and reckless behavior. One name in particular kept resurfacing: Lawrence Romero Jr., part of a group of young men questioned in connection with Tara's disappearance. Romero, however, died in a suspicious car fire just a year after Tara vanished. His death, ruled an accident at the time, only added fuel to the fire of speculation. Then there were the stories about possible sightings. A waitress at a truck stop in California who swore she'd served Tara. A woman matching her description spotted hitchhiking across state lines. Each lead, each potential break in the case seemed to dissolve upon closer inspection, leaving investigators and Tara's family back at square one. The uncertainty, the agonizing not knowing, takes a toll. You start to see shadows where there are none, hear whispers in the wind. It's a cruel kind of torture, this constant tug-of-war between hope and despair. And then, a year after Tara's disappearance, something truly bizarre happened. A woman shopping in a grocery store parking lot in Florida discovered a Polaroid photograph lying on the asphalt. It depicted a young woman and a boy, both bound and gagged, their eyes wide with fear. The woman in the photograph bore a striking resemblance to Tara Calico. The photo was analyzed, scrutinized, and debated by experts and amateur detectives alike. Some dismissed it as a cruel hoax, a morbid attempt to capitalize on the family's suffering. Others, however, saw chilling similarities between the girl in the photo and Tara. Scar above her lip, a paperback copy of V.C. Andrews' My Sweet Audrina lying next to her. The Polaroid, if authentic, presented a horrifying possibility that Tara was still alive, held captive somewhere. It was a glimmer of hope, however faint, in a case that had grown increasingly cold. But it also raised more questions than it answered. Who took the photograph? Where was it taken? And most importantly, who was the boy in the picture? The discovery of the Polaroid, far from solving the mystery, only deepened it, adding another layer of complexity to an already baffling case. It was a cruel twist in a story full of them, a beacon of hope that simultaneously illuminated the darkest corners of the unknown. Years turned into decades, and the trail for Tara Calico grew colder. The whispers faded, the leads dried up, but the case refused to be forgotten. Then in 2009, a new piece of information surfaced, as if from beyond the grave. A man named Henry Brown, on his deathbed, confessed to his involvement in Tara's disappearance. According to Brown's girlfriend, he claimed to have been present when Tara was accidentally killed in a hit-and-run accident. He alleged that, panicked, he and his friends disposed of her body in the New Mexico desert. Brown even provided details about the location of Tara's supposed burial site, but despite extensive searches, her remains were never found. Was Brown's confession the truth? A dying man seeking to unburden his soul? Or was it the ramblings of a desperate soul, clinging to notoriety in his final moments? The authorities investigated Brown's claims, but without physical evidence they were unable to corroborate his story. The deathbed confession, like the Polaroid before it, left investigators with more questions than answers. It was another tantalizing clue, another potential piece of the puzzle. But it ultimately failed to bring them any closer to solving the mystery of Tara Calico's disappearance. More than 3 decades have passed since Tara Calico vanished from that quiet road in New Mexico. Her case remains unsolved, a haunting reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of ordinary life. Over the years, countless hours have been spent chasing down leads, analyzing evidence, and interviewing potential suspects. Theories abound, but concrete answers remain elusive. Did Tara run away, seeking a fresh start, a chance to escape a life that had become unbearable? Was she the victim of a random act of violence, snatched from the streets by a stranger with evil intentions? Or did someone she knew, someone she trusted, betray her in the most unimaginable way? The not knowing, the endless cycle of hope and disappointment has taken a devastating toll on Tara's family and friends. They've endured countless dead ends, false leads, and the crushing weight of unanswered questions. The passage of time has done little to ease their pain or diminish their determination to find out what happened to their beloved Tara. Tara Calico's case, with its haunting Polaroid whispered confessions and endless unanswered questions, serves as a stark reminder that sometimes the most baffling mysteries are those that hit closest to home. It's a story about a life interrupted, a family forever changed, and a community forever haunted by the shadow of a young woman who simply vanished. And as the years turn into decades, the search for answers continues, fueled by the unwavering hope that one day the truth about what happened to Tara Calico will finally be revealed. It was 1999, Baltimore County, Maryland. Hae Min Lee, a popular high school senior, vanished without a trace. Her family and friends were frantic. Days turned into weeks, and the case grew colder. Then her body was found in a shallow grave in a local park. She had been strangled. The prime suspect, her ex-boyfriend, Adnan Syed. Adnan always maintained his innocence, but the prosecution painted a picture of a jealous ex, scorned and driven to murder. The evidence was largely circumstantial, relying heavily on the testimony of one key witness whose story seemed to shift over time. Still, Adnan was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. Years passed, and the case might have faded from memory, but then came Serial, the podcast hosted by, me, dug deep into the case, examining the evidence, the timeline, and the inconsistencies. Millions of people, myself included, were captivated, debating Adnan's guilt or innocence, scrutinizing maps of Baltimore, and trying to make sense of it all. Serial didn't just rehash the case. It unearthed new questions, new leads, and new doubts about the investigation. The prosecution's timeline didn't quite add up. The cell phone data used to place Adnan at the crime scene was unreliable at best. And that key witness? Well, let's just say there were some serious holes in his story. The podcast sparked a national obsession with the case, prompting countless articles, online forums, and even amateur investigations. People pored over every detail, every piece of evidence, every word of testimony. Was Adnan Syed a victim of a flawed justice system, wrongly convicted based on flimsy evidence? Or was he a masterful manipulator, hiding behind a facade of innocence? The more you dug into the case, the murkier it became. There were no easy answers, no smoking guns, just a tangled web of conflicting accounts, questionable evidence, and a lingering sense that something wasn't right. The attention generated by Serial didn't just fuel speculation, it had real-world consequences. Adnan was granted a new trial, new evidence emerged, including information about potential alternate suspects, people who had been overlooked or dismissed during the initial investigation. One such suspect, with a history of violence against women, had a connection to the park where Hayes' body was found. Another had made incriminating statements around the time of Hayes' disappearance. These leads, never fully investigated, added another layer of complexity to an already convoluted case. After spending over 2 decades behind bars, Adnan Syed walked free, released from prison while the state decided whether to retry him. It was a stunning turn of events, a testament to the power of investigative journalism and the unwavering dedication of those who believed in his innocence. But Adnan's release was far from a clean victory. The charges against him were not dropped, merely vacated. He remained under house arrest, his future uncertain. The case, once again thrust into the spotlight, continued to divide public opinion. For Hae Min Lee's family, the ordeal was far from over. They had endured years of pain and uncertainty, only to have their wounds ripped open as the case was re-examined and relitigated in the court of public opinion. The search for justice, for closure, seemed as elusive as ever. And what about Adnan? After 2 decades defined by incarceration, could he ever truly be free? The stigma of the accusations, the shadow of suspicion, would likely follow him forever. The case had taken an immeasurable toll on everyone involved, leaving a trail of shattered lives and unanswered questions in its wake. The murder of Hae Min Lee is a stark reminder that the pursuit of justice is rarely simple or straightforward. It's a messy, complicated process, fraught with human error, biases, and limitations. And sometimes, even when the system seems to right itself, the truth remains frustratingly out of reach. As for Adnan Syed, his fate hangs in the balance. Will he be retried? Will new evidence finally reveal the truth about what happened to Hae Min Lee? Or will this case, forever shrouded in doubt and speculation, remain unsolved? One thing is certain, the search for answers continues. February 13th, 2017. Delphi, Indiana, a day like any other in this quiet rural town. 14-year-old Liberty German and her best friend, 13-year-old Abigail Williams, decided to spend their day off from school exploring the scenic trails of the Monon High Bridge. They snapped photos, sent messages to friends, and enjoyed the unseasonably warm weather. It was supposed to be a carefree afternoon, a chance to soak up the last days of winter break. But as the day wore on and the sun began to set, the girls' families grew worried. They hadn't heard from them in hours. Their phones went straight to voicemail. Panic set in. Where were Libby and Abby? What had happened to them? The following day, the unthinkable happened. The girls' bodies were found, less than a mile from where they were last seen. Their deaths, ruled a double homicide, sent shockwaves through the small community of Delphi and beyond. Who could have committed such a horrific act? And why? The details of the crime, what little authorities released, were chilling. The girls had been murdered in broad daylight, just off a popular hiking trail. It was a brazen act, suggesting a level of confidence, perhaps even arrogance, on the part of the killer. In a case with few leads and even fewer answers, investigators turned to the one piece of evidence that offered a glimmer of hope: Libby's cell phone. The resourceful teenager had the presence of mind to record a video on her phone, capturing the final moments before she and Abby were abducted. The video, brief and grainy, showed a man walking towards them on the bridge. His face was obscured by a hat, but his voice, cold and menacing, sent chills down the spines of anyone who heard it. "Guys! Down the hill!" The man's voice boomed, a chilling command that echoed through the investigation. The audio, released to the public, became a haunting clue, a digital breadcrumb trail leading to the killer. The image of the man on the bridge, dubbed Bridge Guy by investigators, became synonymous with the Delphi murders. His face, or at least a portion of it, was plastered on billboards, shared on social media, and broadcast on national news. Tips poured in, but despite the widespread attention, the case remained unsolved. Years turned into months, months into years. The families of Libby and Abby waited, prayed, and held on to hope that their daughter's killer would be brought to justice. The community of Delphi, forever scarred by the tragedy, lived in a state of perpetual unease. The Delphi murders are a stark reminder that evil can lurk in the most unexpected places. They are a testament to the enduring strength of community, the unwavering love of family, and the relentless pursuit of justice. And they are a haunting reminder that some questions, no matter how desperately we seek answers, may never be fully answered. These are just a few of the cold cases that were finally solved, but left us with even more questions. Which one shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chilling stories from around the world. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.